It was looking like it was going to be another one of those games. The Astros starting pitching dominance was broken once again by Luis Garcia. He gave up 5 runs early in the game, but he was able to settle down, and the Astros were going to have this massive comeback, and they never really trailed for too much in this game. But this offense never lets off the brakes when it's rolling. And when it's rolling, when Alex Bregman is hitting, Alvarez is hitting, Gurriel is hitting. In fact, almost everybody got a hit in today's game except for their catcher, Martin Maldonado. And we're going to talk about this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Astros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett's still on vacation, and I think he's down in Corpus enjoying the sun. He's going to enjoy Corpus Christi Hooks game, and he's just going to enjoy the family. And I'm being joined today by Keagan Crawford. So Keagan, go and tell us where we can find you on Twitter, and who do you write for?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at KMCCrawford02. I write for the Texas Baseball Report. You can find all my work there.
All righty. So thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed by now, it's really easy. Just go to YouTube, search Locked On Astros, press the subscribe button, and go ahead and make us your first listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Just make us your first listen every day. So the Astros face a former Astros legend, Zack Greinke. I'm being very sarcastic there, but Greinke gave us some pretty good starts in his career. And I know in yesterday's show, I made the fake grunts, the Greinke grunts, and I was telling the people I was watching game with, I'm like, just listen for the grunts. You're going to hear them. And even Brian McTaggart, I believe, was like, oh, yeah, I forgot he does the grunts when he pitches. And so that's just who Zack Greinke is. And so it just was awesome to see him pitch. At first, he was kind of keeping the Astros kind of off base in the first couple innings, I believe. He gave 2 runs in second innings, but then he kind of settled down. And then in the fourth inning, everything kind of fell apart, and the Astros went ahead and lit him up for 6 runs. And you can kind of see in his face, even though he's not going to say, he's like, man, I made the wrong decision about not re-signing with the Astros. But at the same time, I don't think the Astros really had any plans to re-sign him. So what do you think, Keagan, about Greinke's? Is this the same Greinke we saw in the second half last year?
I don't think so. I'm kind of one of the baseball fans. I think Greinke, as he's getting older, started to decline in ability. Right. I do know, because I think one of the fastest pitches or hardest pitches he threw tonight was like topped out at 91. And that was very beginning of the game. It was a bottom of the zone strike to Altuve. I don't think the Astros made a bad decision in not picking him up for that reason. His velocity is starting to decline. But yeah, this game today, it started off, I thought Greinke was going to go further, the way he was able to get out of the jam in the first inning. Second inning, though, against the 4, 5, 6 hitters, Bregman and everybody, he started to struggle a little bit. So I kind of got the feel he was going to do good against the top of the lineup, but then struggle against the middle of the order. And it looked that way for a little bit until later on in the game. They eventually just got to him and pulled him. But I think Greinke, he's good, he's a little weird, but I don't think the Astros missed out on much.
I think the best interaction was when Martin Maldonado walked in that inning, and I know that there was a little bit of gamemanship there, and Greinke was trying to get him out, and he was trying to nibble, and then the umpire didn't call a check swing Greinke's way, so he was a little bit pissed off, and so after Maldonado walked, he was like, okay, you're scared of me, huh? You're scared of me? And he walked to first base, and then Greinke went talked to the umpire, and it looked like the umpire just said, just go do your job. I'll do my job, or something like that. And so Greinke is just an interesting character. And at times I'm kind of sad that he's not with the Astros because he make things interesting. But at the same time, he's just not the same guy that he used to be. At times he could be a good pitcher, but he just doesn't have the stuff. But he had the adrenaline going today. He was touching 91, I think 92 at times. And so he's definitely had the adrenaline going for against the Astros. Let me see what his he touched his highest pitch was around 91, 92. So you definitely had the adrenaline going, but he's not a high fastball guy anymore. But the Astros got 6 runs off of him. They got 10 hits off of him and 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 home runs off of him. They hit 4 home runs in a game. This was one of those games that was just awesome to see, and they needed every single one of those runs because we're going to talk about in the second segment some little boo-boos the Astros made in this game today. But let's talk a little bit about Luis Garcia. He gave up the runs early. He gave up the 4 runs early, and then he kind of settled down. Or was it 5? No, it was 4 runs early. Then he gave up. He tried to pitch into the 7th inning. Then he gave up another run then. But overall, he settled down after the 3rd inning. He pitched 3 scoreless innings. Then Dusty Baker, especially after having used the bullpen as much as he did the day before, he tried to get Garcia to pitch a little bit deeper into the 7th inning, and it kind of backfired a little bit. But still, I think his numbers should have looked better than the actual results. What did you see from Garcia today?
He looked a little shaky at times, but you can't really expect all the starters to be on their A game every single start. Everybody's gonna have their days where they just don't have it. And against this Royals team, I saw they were pretty aggressive at the plate, swinging at pretty much almost anything in the zone. That's gonna hurt you at times. Garcia went 6 in the 3rd inning. He gave up 5 runs, but he did have 7 strikeouts. So he was. And I noticed most of the runs. I think he gave up 2 on the long ball. I think most of them were just ground balls, which aren't. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. I think he'll be fine. I think it was just one bad start. I obviously nothing to panic. We're in like middle or early July, so.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about the start. Garcia has shown he's still got a 3.81 ERA on the year. And like I said, he pitched better than the stats will show. But this is the 2nd straight game that Astros starters have given up 5 runs. And after that great streak we had, it's just kind of disappointing. But we'll see what happens in the next few games. I believe Christian Javier is on the mound. Then we go back to Justin Verlander, who was pushed back. So that will be a day game on Thursday. But Bobby Witt Jr. was hit in a hand in the 9th inning. So we may not see him in the rest of the series. I don't know I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to be one. But they did take him out in the 9th inning with, I believe it was a 2-2 count. And then Ryan O'Hearn came in and struck out. And that strikeout actually goes in on Bobby Witt Jr. But he was the guy who hit the 2-run homer in the 3rd inning off of Garcia. And so that kid looks like a great defensive guy. And it's surprised. I know he got off to a little bit of a slow start, but I think they're keep him at shortstop, his more natural position, just to kind of get him used to hitting in big leagues and not focusing at moving to third base. Because I think that's where they want him in the future. But Jeremy Pena, he looks great hitting 2nd. Alvarez is doing great hitting 3rd. And Bregman is coming out, and we'll have to talk about that in a second. But this whole lineup looks like it's doing good. And if you want to do good for your special somebody, why don't you go to Blue Nile? Blue Nile is not just for if you want to pop the question or something like that. Blue Nile is for just everyday jewelry. So go to BlueNile.com and you can find fine jewelry, including cocktail rings, gemstones, necklaces, and just for like if you have a birthday for your significant other or your wife, your girlfriend, you just go there and build the engagement ring of her dreams. And they have simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape and size and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is one of a kind. Look for the fine jewelry, but having trouble choosing? Blue Nile has the jewelry experts on hand 24/7. Available via phone or chat will help you find the most memorable gift at every budget. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use the code Locked On. That code is Locked On. Plus, every order is is insured, ship free, and arrives in a discreet packaging, so it won't give out what's away. Shop stress free and find your forever piece today. Go to BlueNile.com and get that. So make sure you just get what you need to do for that special someone in your life. Go to BlueNile.com. And so speaking of getting that something special, the Astros have something special. I believe they're on an 8-game winning streak. They seem to be just doing everything seems to be going right there. 53-27. The Yankees lost today against this Pirates team. I know the Pirates are actually in third place in their division, and I'm actually surprised about that, but who knows what's going on in the NL Central this year. But the Astros just keep on winning, and they keep on, even with injuries, even without Lance McCullers, who we'll talk about Lance McCullers in a little bit, but he looks like he's getting close to potentially coming back. What about which pitcher has surprised you the most out of this bullpen?
That's a tough call. Most of them have gotten better. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna go Ryan Stanek. Stanek has not given up a run, I don't think, since late April. He has been on a tear lately. It's like he kind of, when he comes in, you're not getting runs off this guy. He's touching like triple digits, and he's got some nasty off-speed stuff, like that splitter he's got. Besides that, I'd have to go with Rafael Montero and Hector Neris, especially early on in the season. The two new guys, really good coming out of that bullpen lately. But everybody in that bullpen, a lot better team than we had last year, bullpen-wise.
Okay, before we get back to today's game, James Cook asked, who is better, Hunter Brown or Forrest Whitley? Any chance either one gets called up this year? Well, I think that at this point of their careers, Hunter Brown is obviously the better pitcher. I think Forrest Whitley has been given the chances, but injuries and whatever has kind of held him back. But if you're looking at who's going to make the most impact this year, I think it's going to be Hunter Brown. If they need somebody to come out and maybe be a lone reliever or just a impact reliever in the bullpen in the playoffs, Hunter Brown could be somebody that can do that for you. So Forrest Whitley, I think they're going to take it easy with him. He didn't have a great first start. Maybe there was a little nerves. This is his first time he got up to AAA. But Hunter Brown, he is a carbon copy of Justin Verlander. And so I think he doesn't have the experience of Justin Verlander. Don't misquote me there, but he's probably got some of the stuff, and he could be eventually a pretty good pitcher. Is he going to be top of the rotation type guy? I don't know. It depends on how he adjusts to big league hitters, because there's a difference between AAA and big leagues. And so that adjustment time is what holds a lot of people back. So I'm looking at standings right now. The Astros have a 13.5 game lead over the Mariners. The Yankees, who have lost 2 games in a row, they have a 13-game lead over the Red Sox. And so those are the Goliaths of the American League. Do you see these two teams meeting up in the ALCS?
Oh, definitely. Houston and New York, ALCS again. I'm completely biased. I think Houston's going to take it all this year based off of what we've done so far against the Yankees. But really, anybody else in the American League, I don't think really stand a chance against Houston or New York. Because you look at the AL Central, the Twins are leading that division, and they're one of the weaker division leaders in baseball. And then wild card wise, you've got the rest of the AL East, which Houston smashed them all in the playoffs before. Right. So I think we're in store for another Astros Yankees ALCS, which should be real fun.
I think a lot of Astros fans are surprised how good the Royals are playing. We're like, this is a bottom of the barrel team. They're 29-50 now. They've lost. They were 29-48 before they lost 2 games to the Astros. But every baseball team can play pretty well. And you know they could come to Houston and play really good against the Astros. There is some history between the Astros and Royals. We've met them in playoffs, and there is some bad blood between them a little bit. So this is definitely a series. If even if you're going to finish in last place, you're going to try to beat the best teams in baseball, because that means something to them. So let's get back to today's game. And Jeff G says, is it just him, or is Altuve not the same on the field or base running? What's the difference? I don't know if he's not focusing or anything like that. I just think that he was, for today, for those of y'all that didn't get a chance to watch the game, there was first time I've seen it. I'm not saying it's never happened before, but we had a double overturned call. It was what we thought was a double play. But what happened was Altuve, when he got the ball, he did not touch second base. And if you look at the replay, the umpires did get it right. His foot was in front of the bag, but the umpire called him out. And then when he threw the ball to first base, Hunter Dozier did beat the play. And that was obvious. And I'm surprised the umpire actually missed that one. But for the Royals to have the presence of mind to see that Altuve did not actually have his foot on the bag, that was pretty, that was kind of devastating. And Brian Abreu kind of lost it from there. He had a walk, I believe, to load the bases. Then one more run came in and score. And if it wasn't for Yordan Alvarez getting 2 outs on one play, we could be talking about a whole different ball game, because not only did he catch the fly ball, but he also threw out a runner at the plate. So Alvarez, he's not just a DH. He's a left fielder. He's got a great arm. We've seen him make some good catches. He's got to be in the talk for MVP this year. What do you think?
Yeah, Yordan is just he's one of the most underrated players, I think, in baseball. And this year he's finally starting to get a lot more recognition from the higher ups. I see every day I get on Twitter now, I see nothing but Yordan getting talked about. And it's great. I mean, he deserves it. And he's a generational talent. I remember watching him since day one. His second at bat in the big leagues, he went deep. And I love watching him in left field just for that reason. He's got that cannon of an arm. It's kind of similar to Kyle Tucker out in right, but it's great, especially now when Brantley's on the IL. And even if Brantley decides to leave in the offseason, you got Yordan Alvarez, who could be that everyday left fielder, if not DH. Either one, he's going to dominate.
Yeah, I don't think the Astros really want him playing everyday left field, because there are some big left fields, and you're going to have somebody that's going to not necessarily be a fly ball pitcher, because they like to have him. They like to have him out there when there's a ground ball pitcher. But so I don't know. There's some bigger fields that you don't want him out there with. So I don't know if he'll be ever a full-time left fielder, but maybe. But that's why you have a DH spot. You do need it occasionally for somebody like Michael Brantley to rest his legs, Jose Altuve to rest his legs. But going back to Jose Altuve, yes, he does have a lot of errors, not just with the actual errors, because that was called an error in that situation, but also running on bases. He has making a lot of mistakes this year. Like he should have stayed on first base, and he tried to stretch it to a double, stuff like that. But I think he's just being aggressive. He knows he doesn't have the same speed he's had in past. He knows he's not having exactly the same type of year he's had in past, even though he's still batting .278 with an .892 OPS. So he's still having a great season. Don't get me wrong, but I think that he's just trying to be aggressive, and sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. Like I saw today, I believe somebody got a single, and there was a runner on second and third. And I thought for sure, I think it was Ledmus Diaz. I thought that they're going to try to throw the ball. They're going to try to have the guy at second score, but they held him up just to make sure that they didn't get thrown out at the plate. So the Astros tend to be a little bit over aggressive, but Altuve, he just plays with a lot of passion. So I don't think that the Astros are in first place. They're going to make some mistakes. I'm not too worried about base running. They're still they literally have the second best record in baseball. We can pick at every little scab, but we got to let it heal, because they're still a good team. And I'm not going to worry about that. But Bregman is hitting. He had a home run today. And it was I think it was a Crawford box baby, right?
Yeah, it was a corner Crawford box shot.
It still counts.
Yeah. A
And
home run is a
Alvarez's
home
home
run.
run was a Crawford box baby too. Now, if Alvarez can learn how to hit into Crawford boxes a lot more, just
Oh, yeah.
imagine how many home runs he could hit. I know that's kind of going opposite field for him, but still, that. I mean, he can crush it anywhere. He doesn't need the cheapies, but if he
Uh-huh.
can get some of those cheapies, that would help him catch Aaron Judge a little bit. But this is going to be interesting little matchup there. And by the way, they did say after the game that Alvarez was invited to the home run derby, and he
Sweet.
has not given them an answer. So, what do you think, Keagan? Do you think
Oh,
that
he's got to do it. He's got to
why?
do it. I would love. They're holding it in L.A. to see, right? Dodger
I think
Stadium.
so. I think so.
Even
Yeah.
better, even better. I think he should do it. He's got a chance to win it. I think really he's one of the best competitors. I think he's got one of the biggest chances to knock off Pete Alonso for that home run derby champion. But back to your point, Bregman is starting to heat up. I remember beginning of the season, we thought he was going to be right back into his 2019 form, and he started struggling for a little bit. And as of late, him and Yuli are starting to heat up a little bit. Bregman a little bit more so than Yuli. I was talking with some friends of mine saying that, when Bregman and Yuli start coming around, that's when the offense is really going to start heating up, and and offense is starting to click. So I think everything's firing all cylinders now.
Yeah, and you don't need Martin Maldonado hitting. Jake Myers is making some good contact. He's making some great plays in the outfield. He's throwing his body everywhere. He's not, if his shoulder must be good because he's throwing his body everywhere. And so it's great having Jake Myers out there. That does not mean the Astros aren't going to go out there and try to make a trade, possibly for a center fielder, maybe. But Jake Myers looks like he's doing good, and maybe when Michael Brantley's ready, they may go ahead and send Chas McCormick back down because Jake Myers looks like a legit guy. He's batting .278 with .714 OPS. But we'll see. Aledmys Diaz played first base today. Gurriel was the DH. But it was just an overall good game for the Astros. I know that starting pitching, it's not going to dominate as it has all year. But overall, this has just been a great stretch for the Astros. And they're going to continue playing some of these bad teams. And they've just got to not let them kind of come down to the competition, so to speak. So with that being said, you can bet that they're going to play really good over the next week or so, but you can't always, it's just because you bet on something and you have the experts tell you what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen with one pitch because that's what baseball is. And I was talking to my girlfriend about that. I was like, well, there's two runners on base. If they hit a home run, it's a tie game. And then this was in eighth inning after Abreu loaded the bases or had two runners on and everything. But speaking of which, betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including the year's NHL playoffs and baseball information. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And betonline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is your fastest and easiest way for you to check all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. And Brett's going to kill me. The Bachelor, Bachelorette, if you're into that, who's going to get the rose and everything like that. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. So, is Brett in here? I saw somebody. So anyway, but so this is definitely one of those games. It wasn't quite a walk-off home run, but there's just so many dramatics in this. You had the overturned double call. Then you had just Kyle Tucker. I stepped out of the room. What happened with Kyle Tucker's on the misplay that led to that triple?
That one I didn't quite get.
Okay.
I wasn't watching it. I was watching on my phone with the MLB app. All I saw was single to Tucker and like an error or something.
Yeah, it was. I think they originally ruled it a error, but then they changed it later and they called it a triple. So I didn't really get to see it before the show. I just got back a little while ago. But overall, I mean, Tucker does a great job overall. So the Astros have one of the best defenses overall. So let's go ahead and take a look at tomorrow's game. Tomorrow's game is going to be Christian Javier versus who? It's going to be Brad Keller. Brad Keller is 3-9. Okay. Albert says it bounced off his glove and went behind him. And I also heard that in the ninth inning, I believe that happened as well. It bounced off and then went to the wall, and that's how they got the triple in the ninth inning as well. So, and then I think that was Whit Merrifield, and Merrifield ended up scoring. So I know that happened in the ninth inning, but I think something else happened earlier in game two. So somebody said Tucker hopped up to catch a ball and missed it in the outfield. Okay, so that must have happened earlier in the game. So Brad Keller is 3-9 with a 4.24 ERA with 56 strikeouts. And Christian Javier has been awesome as a starter. I really wish that they can keep him in the rotation all year. He's 6-3 with a 2.58 ERA, 95 strikeouts. So who's had success against Keller? It's Altuve with, it's only been one at bat, but he's got a hit. And then Bregman's batting 333 in 3 at bats. Yuli Gurriel 333 in 3 at bats. So basically, in other words, he's faced the Astros one time, and it doesn't look like the Astros had a lot of success against him. Christian Javier, same situation. I guess I would guess that this was out of the bullpen. Whit Merrifield has a home run against him and 2 at bats with 4 RBIs. I'm guessing that was a grand slam. So other than that, there's not much success against Christian Javier. So this should be a dominating game. What have you seen recently with Christian Javier?
Nothing but excellence. He's been great ever since they put him in the rotation with Odorizzi going on the IL. Just like that no-hitter against the Yankees. His last start was great. Javier has been great. I think whenever McCullers comes back from his injury eventually, I think the move should be keeping Javier on the rotation, maybe sending Odorizzi to the bullpen or McCullers to the bullpen. But I think Javier has definitely earned his spot on that rotation. He's amazing.
Yeah, and that's what Brett was kind of pushing for all season and last year too. But he's just shown what Jeff Luhnow was so high on him for when he was coming up. So it's just awesome to see what he can do. And so Zack Greinke allowed 10 hits and 6 earned runs. And before this, or just remember before with the Astros, he went 22-10 with a 3.89 ERA in 52 games. He had 51 starts with the Astros. So I just want to kind of throw that up there. And before Ledmus Diaz hit that home run, don't forget to appreciate that Yuli Gurriel had a 13 pitch at bat. And then what does Ledmus Diaz do right away? He swings at the first pitch and gets a home run. And so it was just crazy. So, but overall, I wanted to talk to y'all about Lance McCullers. He pitched 30 to 32 pitches today in a live batting practice. He threw 91 to 93 miles per hour. He threw 6 sliders, 6 curveballs, all around 82 to 84 miles per hour. The next step would be ups and downs. And he said, I would consider myself healthy. For those of y'all that don't know what up and down means, that means that he's going to pitch maybe 15, 20 pitches, then sit down for about the length of time it would take to maybe have the Astros hit, and then get up and throw another 15 to 20 pitches, sit back down, and then kind of do that a few times just to get him used to pitching in the actual game. So Lance McCullers also said that the off speed is really crisp, and he said the velocity is 90 to 93. He said he feels good and he feels like he's healthy. So that's a good step. Does that mean the Astros will be like, okay, you know what, Lance, let's go and send you to AAA and get you going. No, they're gonna take it easy with him. The Astros obviously have too many starters right now. I know a lot of people are like, Jake Odorizzi, we need to get rid of him again, like Brett probably wants to do. But I think that they're going to give Odorizzi a few more starts, like they did to start the year, and maybe if he finds the same feel like he did during that little stretch, then the Astros have something again. And a good Odorizzi would help this team. So, what do you think about what do you see? Just looking in the future, Keagan, what do you see Lance McCullers' role on in the future and maybe in the playoffs?
At where he's at currently, coming off that injury, I think it would be a little bit too risky to have him as a starter. He was in the bullpen often in 2017. From what I've heard and what I've seen from Brian McTaggart and most of the reporters on Twitter, he's coming along nicely in his rehab. He's, like you said, he's topping out in low 90s and velocity wise. The off speed pitches are looking pretty nice. I think with McCullers, I don't think you have to rush anything. I mean, we're only in July, so
Right.
But I think I wouldn't rush it because, I mean, worst case scenario, his rehab gets delayed and he don't get to really come into the regular season until like September. But you're still getting him for about a month and a half just to kind of like get his feet wet and get some pitches under his belt before the postseason. But I think depending on where he comes in on the season, if he comes in a little bit later towards the end of the season, I would lean more towards like a bullpen just to kind of keep him there. But then again, he's one of them pitchers, kind of like Javier and really Odorizzi, that I could see go both ways as a starter and a bullpen arm. This one, I might just go with what Dusty Baker and the front office says on this one. They obviously know better than I do, but I think Lance can go either way.
Yeah, and Lance, he's the bulldog. He's going to want to go into the rotation, and it'll take him a while to get stretched out. But we'll see. He can always they can always piggyback him and Odorizzi or something like that. But according to ESPN stats info, Alvarez is the second person in Astros history to have 25 plus home runs in 3 of his first 4 career seasons. Do you know who the other person is?
Not off the top of my head. I feel like I know it.
He played for the Giants too, and I think he made his debut in the 2000s. I want to say.
Then I probably don't know that because I was really young in the 2000s.
Yeah, no, it's actually Hunter Pence.
So one of
Hunter
my favorites. It's awesome.
Yeah, and Bonds never. Yeah, so Edward got it. So
I wish Barry Bonds played for the Astros.
No, Jeff Bagwell, I believe his first season, he only hit 11 home runs in the first season. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I remember because I have his rookie baseball card back here. Nice. But also Dusty Baker got the win today, so he tied Walter Alston with 9th most wins in MLB history with 2040. So he keeps on moving up that list, so that's awesome. And Bregman said this on when Alvarez threw the runner out at the home plate in the 8th inning. At first, I was like, "Oh, he overthrew me," and then I was like, "Oh, he's out." So that's awesome. I mean, he didn't. Bregman's trying to say, "Oh, he's supposed to throw it to me." Then he looked behind him. It's like, "Oh, he got the out. Never mind." So. Yeah. But with Alvarez also, it's good to hear the fans start to recognize him and start saying MVP. We all remember that that we used to do that for Altuve. It's now not like Altuve is not an MVP anymore, but he's not having that type of season. But Alvarez is. He's just like one of the most dominant players in the game right now, and everything. And even Jake Myers said. He's honestly MVP. He's a great player he's so fun to be around. He's one of the best players in the game. And so it's just crazy how good this guy is. And once again, Alvarez said that he has not made a decision about the home run derby. I'm a little hesitant about him doing a home run derby because I think it can mess up your swing, but he's just I don't think I think it'll just be bad practice for him. So I think he should go do it. Right, honestly. So we'll see what's going on. So any closing? Oh, by the way, the Astros are on pace for about 107 wins, and the most the wins Dusty Baker has in his career is 103 with the 1993 Giants. So the Astros have a chance to do something that Dusty Baker has never done before. So this team is just really good. And I know at the beginning of the season we didn't play so well, and now the Astros are doing pretty well. So any closing thoughts, Keagan?
Back to what you said, and one thing Baker hasn't done yet, he also has not won a World Series as a manager, something that they almost got last season. Really hoping they get this year. I said it on Twitter, and I've said it to friends. I feel more confident in this team than I did last season's team. And last season, they went to the World Series, and the offense kind of had its moments where it was struggling. But this season, I feel like Houston can go all the way. We have the pitching staff that really I don't see any flaw in as of late. Because I know last year we had the bullpen issues, and we had the starters in the World Series and the ALCS, and they were not even making it out of like the fourth inning. The offense is starting to click, and it's getting to the point where you can almost bet on the Astros coming back. Like in yesterday's game, Odorizzi gave up all those runs, and I thought at first there's no way they come back. But then the walks and the hits started rolling in, and I was like, all right, they got this. But this season, I feel we got Justin Verlander back. We got Framber Valdez, Luis Garcia, Javier, and Urquidy all pitching very well. And the pitching staff really isn't even at full strength because we're still getting McCullers back. We just got Odorizzi back. We've seen what Odorizzi can do before he went on the IL, so we know he's got potential. Like I said, McCullers is coming back. The bullpen is finally getting up there, and every year before the trade deadline, I like to sit down and kind of think, who could the Astros go for? What positions do they need? And really, this year is one of the first years I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't see a position that they truly need. Jake Myers, to me, should be the everyday center fielder. He's got more pop in the bat than McCormick and Siri. And he obviously deserves it. McCormick and Siri are great, too. They're great to have on the bench like we did last year in the playoffs. But really, I see no position that Houston needs to go after.
Yeah. And apparently, I just read that it was Chas McCormick and Jake Myers who started the MVP chat. I think that a few people started it, then they went out there and was encouraging everybody. I must have missed that. So, but it's just awesome. I saw the Alvarez throwing the runner out at home plate before I left. And it was just, this guy is just doing everything for his team. And we got him for basically nothing. Josh Fields, that's going to go down as one of the best trades in Astros history. Jeff Bagwell, one of my favorite players of all time, but still, Alvarez, geez, this guy is a steal for Houston Astros. And hopefully the Astros can steal a couple more victories against these pesky Royals. The Royals have always been a pesky team, single. But we'll see what happens there. So, guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Keegan, once again, can you tell them where they can find you on Twitter and where do you write at?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at KMCCrawford02. You can also find me at thetexasbaseballreport.com for all my article work there.
All right, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Go Astros, and hopefully Christian Javier has another great game and gets the starting pitching dominance going again, because I don't think the Astros offense can continue to outslug the team, even though everybody's on a roll. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Astros.